Hey, so here we are with your invitations for Module 1, Lesson 3. As we do with every single lesson, we are just basically looking at ways to cement your learning and to make sure that you build up the confidence in discussing these topics. Um, Look at kind of developing the vocabulary, look at ways in which you can get just really comfortable talking around a neuroscience based approach to coaching. So it's nothing more than that, nothing less. And remember, at this stage, you're not expected to have mastered anything. This is the process of mastery. Once again, what I find is that in the previous evolutions of this program, people were often in a rush to consume the content, but without really connecting with it and communicating it with other people. And that always makes it much harder to bring the coaching to life with your clients, okay? And it also makes it much harder for you to bring the coaching to life for yourself. So here are your invitations. The first invitation is the same invitation as last time, which is this: go back over this lesson at least 2 more times to let it sink in. I honestly don't believe that a single pass of any of the MindMAP Mastery material will make you a master. It will open up some kind of new questions for you, which is fantastic, but it won't make you a master. So please, please, please go back over the lesson at least 2 more times. I know you may feel like you want to rush and you're all excited and you want to get to the next thing. But remember, this is about a process of mastery, not just about consumption and getting, kind of check marks in the check boxes kind of thing. Okay, so that's your first invitation. Your second invitation is to spend a day or two paying particular attention to patterns in your day-to-day life. Like, where are you spotting them? Again, kind of keep this in a journal, kind of write it down in a book. What are the patterns that you see in your life, from patterns of behavior to patterns of talking to patterns of acting, and kind of the way you happen to be? What about patterns of triggering in your environment, like how you find your mood change when you go from one space to the next? Like, pay attention to patterns, because excuse me, you are going to be coaching clients who, like yourself, when they're first exposed to these ideas that you're going to be teaching them through the mind map process, they're going to be very dubious, and they're going to have a whole bunch of questions and some skepticism and maybe even cynicism about some of the things that you're going to be speaking to them about, right? And so the only way for you to not so much counter that, but become from a strong base of certainty, is from observing your own experiences and seeing how much of what you're being taught in Mind Map Mastery is or isn't true, is or isn't relevant to you and your life circumstances. Okay, so spend some time, like, really observe patterns, and patterns of, are there patterns of music that is really uplifting to you and music that kind of really chills you out? And of course, the answer is going to be yes, right? But kind of see if you can figure out what the pattern is. See if there are patterns in the way that you go to and from work. There are patterns in the way that you prepare and consume your meals. All that kind of stuff. It's just an invitation to you to spend a couple of days just really being aware of patterns. Okay, so this is about patterns of patterns, if you will. And the third invitation is to have at least 3 conversations with others about the brain, what it does, what it needs, how it works. So all the things that you've just learned in this lesson, about, the brain being a pattern recognition machine, and it uses those patterns to create predictions, and uses those predictions to create responses, and uses those responses to create movements and actions. And the fact that it's all about, primary focus is about survival first, and then opportunities come after. And what does it need? It needs fuel, it needs oxygen, it needs sensory stimulation, and all of these kind of things. Well, have at least 3 conversations with clients where you not only talk about these things. I say with clients, it can be with other people, right? But where you not only talk about these things, but you dig into them a little bit, and you say why these things are important. And if it's just based upon what you've learned in the Mind Map Mastery lesson, that's fine. And if you've got other kind of anecdotes or other learning that you've already got in place, or kind of maybe it spurs you on to look at a few things on the internet and Google a few things about different parts of the brain or whatever, that's fine. But talk to people about what each area of the brain does. Kind of, we've got this prefrontal cortex. Well, what is that responsible for? And we've got the parietal lobe, and we've got the, kind of the, like, take people on a journey around the brain, describe to them what each section does and why it's so important, and all that kind of thing, right? Every single time you communicate with other people what you've learned, you are not only developing the language to make future communication better, you're also getting kind of like a bit of an assessment of what you have picked up and what you haven't. What you'll find is there will be some parts where you try to explain it to a person and you're lost for words, and you're like, oh, don't really quite know how to describe this. And that's brilliant, because those areas where you black out, for want of a better expression, are the exact areas where you can tune in for your study next time, right? Kind of, oh, right, I keep forgetting about this. And it tunes you in. And as you start to build up the prediction, as you start to build up the response around these conversations, it makes having conversations with clients in the future so much easier and so much more powerful and influential. Okay, so that's your invitation. That's it. Nothing more complex than that. But I really, really do hope that you will accept the invitation, and particularly if you're looking to really master this material. Okay.